Rob Tebbutt for Boxing News, joined by former two-time WBA featherweight champion of the world, Leigh Wood. Leigh, how are you?
Good, thanks, mate. Didn't have a lot of sleep last night. Got back from Manchester early hours. Then got knocked up by UKAD at 6 a.m. Obviously, I'm on whereabouts, so clean sport and all that.
I didn't actually know about that. Obviously, we had just a little brief preamble before we started the video. I think there'll be people who are watching this interview quite interested to know about what the kind of the life of a drug-tested athlete is like, and the fact that it is, as you've just mentioned there, alluded to there, quite invasive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not so much that's my problem. I'm quite spontaneous and I never know where I'm going to be weekend to weekend, so it's hard to remember to fill that in as soon as possible. So they've got somewhere to they know where I'm going to be in case they want to test me because I can get tested any day. So that's the biggest thing I struggle with, making sure I remember to put where I'm going to be, especially if there's been a change. But I've not missed a test yet. I've been on it since middle of last year, so I'm doing all right. Hopefully it continues, but yeah, it's part of it. I think they should probably introduce more at the lower levels as well, to keep it clean.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to some fighters recently. There's like an app where you can log your whereabouts on the app. Like is that already implemented from UCAD or is that something from a different?
I'm not sure, but I'm on Adams, so most athletes across the board will be on Adams when you get to a certain level, when it's Team GB or professional athletes, footballers, boxers. So yeah, I'm on that, and you can be on it for a number of years, most of your career, or they'll take you on and put you off. But I've been on it since last year, so.
Oh, there we go. Nice little interesting aside to start the interview. So thanks for giving us a bit of an insight there. You mentioned about being in Manchester. We were talking shortly before, somewhat of a spontaneous interview because we were talking about your friend, your stablemate, Jordan Gill, ultimately coming up short against Zelfa Barrett last night in Manchester in a fight that was very, very competitive throughout, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was competitive, and I thought it was hard to score. I was trying to be biased towards Zelfa as I was scoring the rounds to make sure I didn't get the scoring wrong, and I thought I had Jordan up just by a round, but no, it's hard to score some rounds. Like Zelfa was landing meteor shots, like the uppercut and that right hook. Sometimes judges will see that you've hurt your opponent and then they start looking at you more. Then that's how sometimes scoring can get swayed, or it's perception and it's opinion really. So yeah, it didn't matter. He got caught with a body shot, but I'm sure he'll come again. He's not even 30 yet. And I was talking to him this morning about this. Like, I didn't even win a title till I was 30. The Commonwealth title I won at 30. He's got time if he wants it, but it's up to him what he wants to do. And we'll support him through whatever he decides to do.
You mentioned they're speaking to him this morning. A bit of a silly question. How is he? How's he feeling? I'm sure very disappointed.
Yeah, it must be because he was doing what he needed to do. He was doing what he practiced. A lot of things were working. Obviously, he was missing a few moments here and there. It wasn't perfect, but on the whole, what he drilled and what he practiced and the game plan that was implemented was working. And what he was, without giving too much away, what he's trying to do, we could see it clear as day working. Like he said later on, he got caught with a body shot, and that's that. And Zelf was a good fighter. He always had that chance to pull out a shot from somewhere, whether that's head or body, because he can dig. But yeah, what a great fight, and you can't walk away from that fight with your head down because he put up a great thing of himself, didn't it? And then gave a great account of himself. So.
You've obviously known Jordan for a long time, both personally and as a stablemate and fellow fighter. It's his second fight that he's had out of the Ben Davison Performance Center, of course, with Barry Smith and your coach Ben Davison and Lee Wiley. How much of an improvement do you think he's made in those two fights? Obviously, he had the Conlon fight where he was a huge underdog. He was still a decent sized underdog at the weekend against Zelfa Barrett. What changes and what improvements did you notice in him, and how much more do you think he still has to potentially give?
Yeah, for sure. I think he can still keep improving. Look at the improvements he's made since he's been down in Essex. People were saying to me at ringside yesterday, like, God, it's crazy how much he's improved. That was like middle rounds, and it's true. And he's ironed out a lot of his flaws, and he's still improving. Um, like I said earlier, if he wants to continue fighting, and he wants to be in fights, he can continue to improve. He's got loads to work on. He's got the right attitude to do it. It's down to him, innit? If he wants to do it.
You mentioned there, and obviously I appreciate it's very soon after the event, and it's not, it's not like I'm speaking to Jordan, but you touched upon it there, and he sort of hinted towards it yesterday about potentially not continuing boxing. Like, where do you stand on that for him? Obviously, I'm sure you want him to be happy either way.
Yeah, I'm his friend, but it's down to him. If he retires and uh, regrets it later on when he hasn't got the choice to retire or not retire, I think it'll eat him up a little bit. So he needs to make sure he makes the right decision, and that's no one else. And I've always said that about myself as well. Like I'll retire on my own terms because I have to live with that whatever the date later on down the line. Because at the minute he's got the choice. He's only 29, but in 4 or 5 years he won't have that choice, and that's the most important thing. Like to get to that age, of like, oh, I ain't got the choice, and I wish I just boxed for a few more years and had a go, another go at this and another go at that. That's the main thing. That's the best advice I'd give to him is make sure you think it through and make the decision that's right for you.
Just on a personal note, obviously after the Michael Conlan fight, he had that really heart-wrenching interview and gave us an insight into the issues that he'd been having. You were obviously, I know, very, very close with him, so you'd have been a party to a lot of those things behind the scenes. Just how proud of you of Jordan are you of what he's managed to achieve outside of those last couple of fights?
Very proud to come back from where he was. Um, remember taking him on to training camp and he wasn't quite sure what was happening. Then obviously the Conlan fight came up and he absolutely blew that out of the water and got a good payday. And then obviously he got paid well for last night. So financially, he's in a lot better situation than when he was before. And it's boxing, I think that was his third defeat, and I've had three defeats as well. Like the boxing needs to change. I've said this many times before Jordan got beat. People look at boxing like writing fighters off when they get beat, but 9 times out of 10, you can learn more from your defeats than you can your wins. So it's how you approach it, your mindset, and your attitude towards improving is the main thing. But yeah, he's in a lot better situation than when he was that not so long ago. Financially, that great win over Conlan, and that account he gave himself last night as well. So he can hold his head high and sit down and think about what he wants to do next.
Okay, right. Well, before we talk about what comes next for you, I sort of mentioned this tongue in cheek before we got started. I saw you causing a domestic disturbance, a public nuisance last night with your pal Josh Warrington. I saw a video of you guys being, I don't know, separated at ringside. What happened there?
Um, he's just a storyteller. He's an absolute storyteller. I don't know what's wrong with him. So he said a few. I don't know. I can't even remember everything he said because he talks so much shit. But he said that I said to him I was going to come up to Leeds and punch him, which I've not said. But I may have said I'd like to come up to Leeds and punch him, but I'd rather knock him out and get paid a fortune in front of 10,000 people. So sometimes you may hear something, interpret that a different way. Um, but yeah, I could have see him. I see him on my row ringside, and he kept looking at me like I was going to see Jordan after the fight. As soon as the fight finished, he's doing an interview like ringside. Someone pushed up the camera in his face, and he's laughing, and it's like he's buzzing that Jordan got beat, and that pissed me off a bit. I thought, what kind of person is that? Anyway, he was on my row, and I had to go past him to get to Jordan's changing room, and I just knew something was going to happen. So as I walked by, he was looking at me, and he's talked a lot of shit recently. So I just said to him, what you saying then?" And he like squared up to me, and a few things got said, and he just shit himself basically. I just said to him, "Look, I knocked you out in the ring, like I'll knock you out here basically," and he just shit himself. And then he just goes off and does an interview and tells some more stories as he does. But look, I won that fight. I'm ready to sign for that fight. So hopefully we can get a date lined up soon, and I can do everyone a favor and just shut him up for good.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. So, in the build up to the first fight, I felt like there was a lot of kind of mutual respect. And then obviously the fight went how it went. And then it seemed like there was kind of a period of time where you were communicating in the media through various things. And it started as quite light-hearted sort of building of animosity. It seemed like it's sort of like a bit jokey. We still respect each other, but it seems like recently this has actually got quite personal. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, he's a dick. He's just a dick. How he's gone off. he blames me, but it's actually him that's done it. Like he posted something to me. Bear in mind, I've chinned him. Then he posted something to me, so I thought, oh, fuck him then. I posted something to him for his birthday, if you can remember that. You know, like staggering, having a drink and that. And he didn't like it because I feel like he was respectful all on that build up because he thought he was going to win. So like it's all right to be like, oh yeah, you can be nice to someone and respectful when you think you're going to win, but then you get beat and everything changes. That's what happened. And then because he didn't win, he spat his dummy out and said so many things like pathetic things like, oh, all matchroom was like all on my side, like fight with not the case one bit. Like he said so many bitter things. I just thought it's all down to getting beat. You just don't like it, and thing has gone off a certain way and said a few things and like posting that photo and doing them videos. So I've done them back, and he likes to give it, but he don't like to take it, Josh. As you can see, I'm fighting that as well.
Is that, I mean, we're still waiting to see what's going on. We're still kind of eagerly anticipating an announcement from either yourself or Josh about what's going on in the future. Obviously, there's various options aside from Josh Warrington that have been kind of mooted and mentioned. But where are you? What update can you give us?
But don't listen to what he says because it just makes things up. It lives in a fantasy world. But we're talking to people. We're trying to get it made. Probably looking like summertime, maybe mid towards in the summer. Um, yeah, we're just trying to get all the details sorted. You know, we both want a certain amount of money and stuff. Um, I feel like I want it in my own city because I fucking earned it. Do you know what I mean? I beat him in Yorkshire when I was world champion. I want a homecoming. If I have to take a little bit less to get it in Nottingham, yeah, so be it. But we're just trying to sort all these little things out. And if a certain promoter can't make it, then I'm sure another one will. So we're just talking to them and trying to get the best deal possible. But my main focus is to get him in the ring for the rematch and do a better job on him, do a quicker job on him. That's my focus.
You mentioned there kind of if one promoter can't make it, another one will. You've been quite candid and quite open with kind of your contractual situation previously. I appreciate there's going to be, things that you can and can't talk about if you're negotiating a fight, but what can you tell us about your promotional situation where this fight could end up?
Yeah, I've said many times, I feel like I've had all my title fights to Matchroom. I'd like to stay with Matchroom, but I'm not going to wait around for months and months and months, wasting my last probably year of being active boxing and waiting for something that I'm not really hearing much back from, or not getting what I want from. So if we can't get it on that platform, then I'm going to have to go to another platform and see what we can do. But hopefully Matchroom can sort it out. We'll see.
Are there other options on the table for you? Have you had offers to box other fighters? Obviously, Joe Cordina's a name that's been mentioned in the past. There's Lamont Roach, Oshaki Foster. Have you had any overtures from those?
Yeah, but we had a few conversations about with fighters last night, but I think that's what makes sense first for me. And then after that, or if that happens, all being well, then I don't know how many fights I'm gonna have. I've said this many times. I might only have one more, I might have two more. Hopefully, I got three more and then the city ground fight. But I'm 36 in August, so my time's ticking. But I'm taking it fight by fight, and I think and my team thinks that makes the most sense next. The Warrington rematch makes the most sense. And I just really want to do a better job. There's genuine need over there. I'm up for the fight. Um, I really want to do a better job if that's possible, but definitely want to do a quicker job, like I said. So I'm not really looking at anyone else yet. Um, I want Josh to be honest.
That City Ground fight, obviously, we've spoken about it on numerous instances over the course of the last couple of years. My understanding is, obviously, we've kind of seen you speak about it in previous interviews. That's not going to happen this summer. Is that something that you still harbour hopes for next summer and a potential bout in Nottingham towards the end of this year? Obviously, not being at the ground.
Yeah, that's my dream. Obviously, I feel like that's pulled me through my last so many fights. That's been like hanging on on a thread in front of me, and it's motivated me. It's pulled me through some difficult days with that in sight, and kind of got pulled from underneath me this year. Um, yeah, it was quite heartbreaking, but I'm not going to give up on it. I feel like I've done so much to try and get it, and I've come so far, and I'm so close that I'm not just going to definitely say no. But I need a little bit of luck and the right opponent, and everything's got to fall right next year if I'm still fighting. But we'll see. Like I said earlier, I'm going to take it fight by fight. I'd love to do the City Ground. It probably would be my last fight if it happens. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how we go, and we'll just keep winning, and we'll get there hopefully.
Okay. All right, Lee. Well, thanks very much for your time. I think we're probably about there now. Thanks for obviously clearing up your public disturbance that you had with Josh Warrington, your ringside raw beef.
Oh, do you know what? It was pathetic because I said what I had to say, and I like the security came, and I thought I'm not going to end up like them YouTubers and start pushing and pulling and screaming and shouting because I'd rather just fight. Do you know what I mean? So I just I said what I had to say. So as soon as I felt that security guard's arm, you know, uh, and pull him away and pull me away, I just walked off. But I'll get him soon. I'll get him in the ring soon, and I'll do a job on him again.